What's up everyone? Thank you for tuning back in. Today we are going to do our final video discussing for now what you can do to invest and save for your kids. So I went over the 529, I went over the UTMA and UGMA, and then lastly I'm going to pretty much go over just a Roth IRA. And I know you're probably thinking, how do you have a Roth IRA for your kids? So just hang tight and we'll go over it. So starting out, you can have a Roth IRA for anyone, any age, it doesn't matter. They just have to have earned income. So this is a pretty big qualifier for a lot of people I know. So if your child is able to earn money at whatever age they are, then they can get a Roth IRA. And the easiest way to do this is to have your W-2, and then that will easily qualify for you. If you don't get a W-2 from your job, it's going to be much more difficult. You'll have to prove the income that your child is making, and as the parent or adult, you're going to have to set it up. It'll be a custodial account until the child turns of age, which is usually 18 years old. Now, one thing I do want to add to this is, yes? Oh, it broke off. So I know what some of you are already thinking, what if my child doesn't make money? What if I have an infant, for example, I have 3- and 4-year-olds, they're not making any money. Well, one thing you can do to get around this and create a Roth IRA and use it for your kids, but it won't technically be for them. It'll still be in your spouse's name. So say your spouse does not work, or if you're in a household where only one adult works and you are married, you have to be married. This isn't like boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, but your spouse does not work. Well, you can create a Roth IRA account for your spouse, and then you can agree with your, hey, we're just gonna throw our kids money in this. And then when they get of age for certain things like college, we'll just take the money out and give it to them, or whatever the case is. So unfortunately, if you do not have one of those two factors, this video isn't quite for you, but it may be really good just to understand and know the information in terms of a Roth IRA in general. So as far as contributions, they can be withdrawn at any time that you want. There is no penalty. There will be no tax when you take the money out. This can be confusing. I'm gonna break it down for you. Jack makes an IRA. He puts $100 in the IRA, and after the first year, he has $110. He got $10 from interest, and he has the $100 he originally put in there. Well, he can take his $100 out and do whatever he wants with it at any time that he wishes. The $10 he cannot take out without a penalty up until the year that he turns 59 and a half years old, or the typical IRA situation. So the important thing about this is that the $10 he actually can remove. There are some exceptions for it. So when you're dealing with a child, they're gonna have a long time until they're 59 and a half years old. But if they go to college, there is an exception where they can remove some of the money, and it will be taxed as income, but there will not be a penalty on it. So another example of an exception is when you buy your first home. They allow you to take $10,000 out of your earnings. Along with that, they don't charge you a tax or penalty on that. So that's a great exception, but those are the main two that are gonna help your child. So you can build up this account, and then when your child goes through college, they can take out money, and when they go through buying their first home, they can take out money, and then eventually it can become a retirement account. The thing about Roth IRAs is that you're putting money in that you have in your pocket. So typically the money you have in your pocket is money that has already been taxed, right? So Jack works a job, he gets money from that job and is taxed. And then he puts the money into his Roth IRA account. Whenever he wants to take that money out, it will not be taxed. So this is the power of the Roth IRA account and why some people really like it. The limit per year for a Roth IRA account is $6,000 or the amount you earn, whichever is less. So if Sally earns $3,000 on a little job that she was doing throughout the year and she didn't make any more money than that, well, she can only put up to $3,000 in her Roth IRA account. If she earns $20,000 the next year, well, it's gonna go up to the $6,000 cap. So max each year you can put $6,000 unless you earn less than that. I hope that was clear enough for you. So the reason this can work really well for kids is because if you own a business, you can put your child on your payroll and pay them. A lot of people just do for shredding and filing papers, right? They just make up this thing, shredding and filing papers. Maybe the kid did it, maybe they didn't. And they pay them the $6,000 or whatever for the year. And then they pretty much just put the money in their Roth IRA account, right? This is a way to get around it if you are a business owner. So just to be clear, a Roth IRA account is just an account, and what you can do with the account is you can invest in different things. So you can do bonds, you could do CDs, you can do mutual funds and stocks and ETFs if you want, among other things. Another interesting thing to note is that Roth IRA income is non-taxable. So when you're taking your money out, if you are at a situation in your life where you are near another tax bracket, and if you make so much more money, it'll push you into that higher tax bracket, and you're really trying to avoid that because you don't want to pay, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 more % tax, maybe even more than that. Well, if you take the money out of your account, it does not affect your actual income tax. So one random year, if I want to take out $80,000 out of my Roth IRA, it's not gonna push me into a higher tax bracket. Also, there are no tax write-offs for Roth IRAs. And you cannot use a Roth IRA as collateral to land a loan on a house or anything like that. It doesn't work that way. Lastly, how does this affect your children? Well, typically children, even if they are working, pay very little taxes or no taxes. So they're gonna be in that tax bracket that is toward the bottom. It's not gonna make a huge difference because at the end of the day, you can only put in maximum $6,000 per year. And that's what really makes this account pretty special, is because if the child is at the bottom of the tax bracket, not paying really any income taxes, well, then they won't have to pay taxes when they pull their money out either. So they're avoiding a whole lot of taxes in general. So it's a quite effective way to put money away for your children and not have to worry about the government taking a bunch of money from you through taxing and whatnot. If you guys have any questions about this, just hit me up and let me know. I just want to remind you that you can combine this with some of the other things that I covered. So if you like the UTMA, you can do a Roth IRA and an UTMA, or you can put one in one and then try to transfer it over. You definitely need to look into what you want to do and whether it can be transferred, but most of the time these things can be transferred into other accounts. So no big deal there. Just look into it before you do it, and try to keep an open mind, because sometimes you can combine some of these accounts to find loopholes and get where you want to be in a more effective way. I encourage everyone out there to create one of these accounts, whether it's an UGMA, a 529, whatever it is that really appeals to you and your children. Create one of the accounts and throw some money into it. I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna get out of here. I've been talking a lot. I will catch you guys later. If you have any questions, throw them below and I will hit you guys back. Bada bing, bada boom.